So today, I'm working on a radio issue on this dump truck. So it's got a Motorola radio with the remote head mounted on the dash. I'm suspecting it's something with the transmission feed line. But anyway, I'm going to use the Sight Hawk to determine if it's an antenna problem, a feed line problem, or something. So anyway, we'll stand by for that. JP working on the dump truck. Thing actually stinks. It's used for hauling horse manure from the wild horse and burro farm to the dump site, wherever that is. But yeah, so it smells like a big pile of manure in the garage here. So anyway, I want to try to get this thing out of here before we have some spontaneous combustion and the thing explodes. JP working on the dump truck. Over and out. Hey, so we're inside the dump truck, and there's the remote head, the Motorola remote head and speaker. And there is the actual radio mounted in a horrible place. Stuff is constantly getting piled on top of it, and that connector right there has already been knocked loose and stuff being piled on top of it. So I'm going to try to remount the radio somewhere where it's a little more user friendly and troubleshoot the feed line that disappears into the old headliner there. So anyway, JP working on the dump truck. Over and out. Oh, there's the little VHF antenna right there. So it disappears into this somewhere. So I'm going to have to tear all that out and figure out. But I'm going to use the Sight Hawk and do a sweep on the feed line, see where the trouble is before I go doing replacing all that. So anyway, JP working on the dump truck. Over and out. So I've removed the mounting bracket for the radio. I'm not going to leave it right there, but I'm thinking I might move it up here. Something like that. I'm not sure. But right now, I'm just trying to figure out why that feed line was run like that. Instead of like behind that trim, and then up the wall and then over that way. So anyway, I'm going to take that out. Whether I'm going to wind up replacing the antenna and the feed line or not, because I haven't done the sweep yet, but for sure that's coming out and at least getting rerouted, because I don't like that. Our boss has made it clear that he wants our radio installs to look sexy, not sexy, but look good. He wants us to take pride in our installs, whether it's for the firefighters, law enforcement, the MLR folks, which is Minerals, Lands, and Resources folks, or a dump truck that hauls manure around. Every customer deserves a good, clean install and something that's going to be functional instead of on the floor where stuff's going to get thrown on it. So anyway, that's the goal for today, is to give this dump truck a sexy install. So we'll see what we can do with it. Anyway, JP working in the dump truck. Over and out. So while I'm doing this install, I'm looking at these light bulbs. They're incandescent bulbs, incandescent dome bulbs. And, I'm looking, and I'm thinking, How in the world are bugs so dumb that they are able, not dumb, no, that was bad, but how in the world are these bugs able to get into that closed lens cap? I don't know. There's some things that make you, scratch your head. It's not just one, it looks like 3 in there. So, anyway, JP having some fun over and out. Yeah, so I think I found a place to mount the radio. So I'm going to mount it behind the driver's seat right here. Somewhere like that. Be out of the way. And see how it goes. Got plenty of room. And looks like it'll fit there pretty good. So we'll see how it goes. So I got the radio mount relocated behind the driver's seat, and it's pretty sturdy. So now the way this thing works is it just slides in there like that, and that handle clamps down and locks it in place. And I got a control head cable that comes out of here and goes up to there, and then the power and the feed line come from down here on the bottom. Something that I knew was going to happen, but I was willing to accept the risk, is that. So I'm going to put some silicone on them, and I might try to take a hacksaw and cut them off just a little bit. But if nothing else, I'll put a bolt through there and put a nut on the back of it. But that padding was so thick that I had to have some long screws to get into there. So anyway, it's going to be better than what it was. Yeah, I might get in trouble, but I was willing to accept that risk. So anyway, JP making some progress over and out. All right, so the bolts that were too long, I instead of trying to get up in there with a hacksaw or something, I just backed the screws out, cut them off, and put them back in there, and then put some silicone over them. So definitely a lot less intrusive and a lot less noticeable for the customer. So hopefully that's an acceptable fix. We'll see. JP over and out. All right. So now this cable right here is the cable that goes to the control head up there from the newly relocated radio that is back here. So I'm going to tear up this door trim right here. And in order to do that, so this piece right here probably looked like this at one time. This piece right here was missing, so there's just 2 screws right there. So I took those out, and then I took a screwdriver, put it in that little divot right there, and pried this thing off. So then there's 3 screws. Undid those and pulled that dude off just like that. And yes, all of that is horse and burro manure, because this truck hauls horse and burro manure. So anyway, when I get that undone, I'm looking, and there's a pretty good crease where that door trim was. So all of this goes to the radio control head, and the ground is right there. So I might leave that there. But all this other stuff's going to get rerouted to, oh look, a fuse. Who would have thought? So that goes up into there too. That's the ignition sense of the radio. So it's not supposed to work unless the ignition is on. But that hasn't worked because the control head was on when I came in to the truck this morning, so that means it was on and the ignition was off. So anyway, gonna do some cable rerouting and see if we can get this thing fired up. JP, over and out. So as I look further, take this floor mat up. These cables are running right under where the driver's feet are all the time. Probably not the best thing in the world for the wires, you know, friction, that kind of cool stuff. But anyway, I've got several good crimps in these cables where the where that trim was pinching down on them. So let's see, where you at, cable? There you are. So that one right there, so that goes to the control head that I showed you a minute ago. That's got a nasty little crease in it. So I'm gonna get it rewired to the newly relocated position and see if it works. If it does, then I will probably just have the guy keep an eye on it. But if it fails, at least I'll know where to look. Because getting up into all of that to replace that is out of the scope of my time frame right now. So anyway, JP, over and out. So as I was looking at those wires that went under the floor mat there was a green wire and a black wire. And I'm like, why were there two grounds? Because going into the back of the control head here, there's a red wire right there, right? So as I look, I'm like, what the heck is this? Who ties a red wire and a green wire together? Totally not cool. So now what I'm going to see and wonder is this green wire right here actually tied to this red wire? So anyway, as I get all this mess out of here, I'll find out in a minute. Well, just as I suspected, like, what in the crap? Alright, so totally not cool. Does it work? Yeah, wire's wire. But you know, we have color codes for a reason, and this is not the reason. Because normally a green wire is not power, right? So anyway, so that's what they've done. They've tied the green wire to the power here and here. Yeah, totally not cool. But anyway, I may see if I can pull another red wire through there without tearing anything up. But it's gonna be a nasty chore to go through there, come down through there, and come out down there. So I don't know if I want to do that today or get the radio working. I'll still have to sweep the antenna, so you know, get all that working and then schedule a rewire another day. But anyway, totally jacked up and not cool. JP finding all kind of cool stuff in a dump truck. Over and out. Yeah, so I just realized I made a missed comment a minute ago on that last video. Um, this is the exact reason we have color codes. Because normally green's associated with ground and red is hot. So that is the reason we have color codes. So anyway, just correcting a little mistake from that last video. Over and out. So I think I'm finally ready to sweep my transmission line and antenna. So the first thing we want to do is set our start and stop frequency. These frequencies were set for some cell phone antennas that we were testing with in class. So this is a VHF antenna, so I'm going to set it to from 150 megahertz to about 175 megahertz. And then I'm going to calibrate this dude. And I'm sure this isn't going to work. It's not going to work. Anyway, so after you set the frequency, each time you have to recalibrate it. So that's one of the first things you want to do is set your frequency, start and stop range. So I'm going to calibrate this thing and get back. Over. All right. So you calibrate this rascal. There's a calibration button right up there in the top, and pulls up those little menus right there. So what you do is you take this calibration tool that Bird has, and for open, short, and load, you mash the button each time, change the connection, mash the button, change the connection, and when it's calibrated, it says correction on down there in the bottom. So now we are ready to sweep our antenna. So get this dude off of there. Get my test lead. Now I'm calibrated up to the end of this blue cable right here. That's where I put my test thing. I probably should put it to the end of this blue cable, just because I'm going to attach that end to the antenna or to the transmission feed line, and this end is going to connect here. So theoretically, I probably should have calibrated to there, but we're going to go here and see what we get. All right. So on the old dump truck here, I rerouted the power. Goes up through there and goes to the cab there. Turned out pretty good, actually. All right. So now I'm coming up out of there, going behind there, coming up into here, into the radio, and the control head. Control head cable. Got it right there. Just coming down, looping. Might tie those up together right there. But I've got all of the wires run, and so now I'm sweeping the antenna. And that's all I got on this job left is sweeping the old transmission line and antenna. So anyway, I think it's turning out pretty good, especially that that right there. Woo! All right, JP having some fun in the dump truck. Over and out. All right, so antenna checked out okay. So where the old feed line was running up through there and into the trim. So what I did is tucked it in here behind it, the headliner, and dropped it right down through here, and took that little panel off right there. Well, not took it off, but loosened it up. So I'm going to finish feeding the end of the transmission line to the radio. I'm going to come out of that little hole right there and attach it to the radio, and we should be good. JP, over and out. So the antenna sweep looks pretty good. So basically, let's get this thing over here. So basically what that's saying at about there where the yellow line changes at the red, at the neg 14, looks like about 18 feet it's good. And then the white line above the red line is the antenna. So that part looks good. So now I'm going to do a forward and reflected power test and actually see how we're doing there. JP, over and out. All right. So now I got the telewave watt meter. It's going to do a forward and reflected power reading. All right. So now we're going to do a forward and reflected power reading. Like one right away from me there. So we're going to set that thing on forward, 150 watts. About 75 watts forward power. Switch it to reflected. So you start on a high scale, and so it's about looks like about a half a watt reflected, so that's pretty good. So I'm going to say all I got to do now is button up this door trim right here, and dump truck will be ready to roll. Over and out. All right. So got the old dump truck finished. The trim put back. So there's the radio right there. So I don't know. To me, I think that looks pretty sexy. I remounted the fire extinguisher. It was bolted right here by the seat with just one screw, and right there, that one right there, and it was flopping around, and then this flashlight was behind it, so it was all jacked up. So anyway, hey, the guy may appreciate it, he may not, who knows. But my parents always told me leave something better than you found it, and of course the military, they train that too. So I took my little car vac and vacuumed the old floor there. So anyway, let's see if we can do us a little radio check here. So ignition sense is working. All right. So we're on Rock Springs scene frequency. So I've got a little handheld here, little BK K&G P150 handheld. So I'm gonna Let's see if we can do this here. Test 1, 2, 3. Test 1, 2, 3. All right. So it's coming out on the radio. Let's see if this one comes out on the little handheld. Let's see here. So we'll set that dude. We'll set that dude right there. BLM radio maintenance check. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Test 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. BLM radio maintenance. Radio check. 1, 2, 3. So this is the second time that this has happened. So that light right up there, just came on when I keyed the dump truck radio. And last time I did it, it did the same thing. So what do you think about that? That's pretty crazy, huh? All right, so hey, I'm gonna close this little. Let's see. I'm gonna turn the ignition off. Radio should go out. Okay, cool. All right. So shouldn't be running the battery down anymore. So anyway, JP in the dump truck finna close out a remedy ticket. Over and out.